Tiffany and I are going to kind of take turns sharing some information, and this will also be really interactive, so we want to hear from you guys too. So I'm going to let you start.
All right, thank you. All right, today we're going to talk about your most valuable resource, which is your people. Your employees will make or break your business. They're the people who see your clients the most. They're the ones who craft the experience that your clients are going to keep coming back for. So what we're talking about today is how to find the right people for that role, for that position.
And then how to keep them.
And how to keep them. There is a tangible dollar amount that is associated with the cost of turnover. So whether your people leave because they're taking a different opportunity outside of your business, or maybe in an unfortunate situation where you may have to let someone go, there's a dollar sign attached to that. And we tend to forget that sometimes. So when we're looking at turnover and the cost of the turnover, we have to factor in time, we have to factor in supplies, we have to factor in all of these different things. It's not just a matter of letting someone go and bringing someone in and it's a smooth transition. There is a tangible cost. So we're looking at things like recruiting, hiring for that position. You have to pay the person while they're training. You have to pay your staff who is picking up the slack. You may have to work extra hours, extra time. There's a whole lot of money that goes in to finding an employee, training them, getting them in. So it's crucial that we choose the right person in the beginning. We don't want to keep turning those people over. We want to find the right fit the first time.
So thinking about your recruiting process, I want to hear the ideas. Like, what are you guys doing right now whenever you have an open position at your center?
Trying to manifest a perfect employee to walk in my front door.
That's probably the best way. And I'm going to try to repeat some of your things so that the folks who are online can hear your comments as well. So manifesting your perfect employee. Go ahead, Marilyn. Facebook. Yeah.
Trying to do a good job description and
yes.
do some Facebook stuff.
Facebook jobs. It's a really good. Yeah.
It has yielded. It's actually what it also has done is I have simple instructions.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if this is the accountant side in me, but I'm like, you literally cannot follow the instructions.
Yeah. Yep.
I will not message you.
Yes.
And it's as simple as don't fill out this application on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Just go to this link.
Mm-hmm.
And then they fill out the whole thing. And I'm like, that's easy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Facebook jobs. Yeah.
So if you put it in our newsletter, go to our customers.
Yes. And a lot of time your customers, your guests, your members are probably going to be a really, really good fit. Yes, you're going to lose a paid member, but again, that's, $50-$60 a month. And that person is adding so much value. They know the float, they know your vibe. And so a lot of times your members are going to be some of your best potential employees as well. Jeannie?
I sent an email to my existing database because I'm late. I've not had much luck with a Facebook job.
Yeah.
Crickets. There's been no idea.
Yes. And we're in a really unique time right now. And I do want to call attention to that. I have seen so many float centers trying to find employees, and, jobs are sitting open for months and months, and we're waiting for them. We've gone through the same thing. We actually have a new employee starting the day that we get back. So that's going to be really fun to bring all of the FloatCon energy straight in to welcome somebody new to the team. But, our position has been open for several months, and we have interviewed some folks. We have gotten some terrible Facebook applications, but waiting for the right people. Like when you know. And that's the hardest part whenever you're short-staffed or you're doing it by yourself. You're tired, you need help. But if you rush just to get a body in, there's a huge cost with that. So one of the things that we actually created to set some clear expectations is a little recruiting video. So you're curious about working with us at Tsukino Float Center and Salt Cave, right? You probably have a lot of questions, like when can you start? How much does it pay? But before we get to that part, we want to share a little bit about what to expect first. I'm Kim, and my husband and I own Tsukino. If you visited us as a guest, it might seem like you're just hanging out, saying hi to people as they come in, and then relaxing all day. But there's a lot more to it. We're kind of like those ducks who look really calm and cool on the surface, but they're paddling like crazy under the water where no one sees it. On a typical day, you'll vacuum and mop about, 2,000 square feet of this beautiful blue flooring and do your best to keep it sparkly all day. You'll welcome between 20 and 30 guests, with about a third of them who've never visited us before. You'll use our online booking system to apply their passes, ask them to sign waivers, and answer questions about their accounts. You'll set up our float orientation video a handful of times, so get ready to memorize my cheesy quips. In that same day, you'll clean the showers and float suites, at least a dozen times. You'll wash and fold about 4 to 8 rounds of laundry. You'll clean and rake the salt cave at least a half a dozen times. You'll brush the salt off your uniform probably 7 times or more. You'll hop inside and crouch down here to clean. You'll clean walls, doorknobs, tables, counters, sinks, and the toilet, and then you'll do it again. You'll clean the halo generator, fill it with salt, and listen to it sing the sounds of salty wisdom, and then do it again. Most days you'll wash your hands at least a few dozen times. You'll answer the phone 10 to 20 times and answer questions about our services, schedule appointments, sell packages and gift certificates. You'll answer what is floating 1,000,000 times. You'll carefully orchestrate the timing of about 20 to 30 appointments each day to ensure that each guest receives personalized service and never feels like they're being rushed in or out the door. You'll also ease the nerves of the guests who've seen ridiculous tales about sensory deprivation in movies or who are terrified of the idea of being alone with their thoughts and nothing to distract them. You'll offer tissues when someone comes out of a float pain-free for the first time in years, or when they're processing some really big emotions that came up during their session. You'll answer questions about our retail products and make suggestions that will help our guests feel their very best. You'll chat with the lovely humans who come to see us frequently. You'll get to know their families, their pets, their jobs, their lives, and you'll care about it. You may work with one other person during a shift, but once you're fully trained and certified, you may work on your own. And you'll work with us. Graham is the king of customer service, and I'm the idea machine who pulls everything together behind the scenes. We aren't out-of-sight leaders. We love this place and will often be right there with you. But we're not done with the list yet. Some other things you'll be doing on a typical day: you'll clean filters and scrub inside and outside the float cabins. You'll carefully prepare the service areas for each guest as though it's the most important thing you've ever done, because for some of our guests, it really is. You'll carry 50-pound bags of salt to ensure that we maintain the perfect specific gravity to make floating completely effortless. You'll restock our retail shelves, clean the windows. You'll check and recheck the filter housing because you don't want to clean up 200 gallons of salt water leaking from everywhere if you don't. You'll check the mirror a couple of times a day to make sure you don't have salt on your face, but you'll own the look if you happen to. You'll carry and set up our infrared mats that weigh between 16 and 23 pounds each. And every day you'll invite guests to come back without being pushy or salesy or trite. You'll create a space that feels warm and welcoming. And you'll honor the sanctuary that is, Tsukino. If you like the idea of juggling all of these responsibilities and showing up as a real, authentic human to help us care for our community, we'd love to chat. Please be sure to complete our online application on Facebook to be considered for this role. And if you have any questions, we're all ears. So you guys can apply online, come work with us. So this,
I'm just like,
4 minutes. 4 minutes and 20 seconds.
my 20, yeah, I see what you did there.
You see that? Yes.
Is it something you just have floating around the internet? Is it like something you send people? Like what?
Yes. So this is on our website. It's on YouTube. It's on Facebook as well. So we've got it in several different places, and anybody that comes in and asks us about it, we'll send them a link to watch it. And we, just like what Marilyn was saying, like follow simple instructions. That's part of the job. And so it is a little bit of a test. And if they come to the interview, or if we're having a conversation with them and they don't have something to say about this video, then I know they're out right there. But the video, number one, it's entertaining. You see our culture, you get to know who we are, but the job expectation, because we were talking earlier about members being some of our best candidates for the job. But think about the member experience when they come in. Are they seeing you do all of that? They're not. And so there are a lot of people who are going to say, man, I want to work here. It's just a cool place to hang out. It changes the experience. It changes the experience when you're working there. And so you also have to set that expectation that it is work, and it is a lot of work. We've had people who are very comfortable having conversations with people, but they can't crouch down or help to clean the showers. They are terrible with technology and don't feel comfortable using any kind of a computer system. And so those are all important things to set up and say, it's all of this. If you're fortunate enough to have a position, have a center where you can have somebody back of house, somebody front of house, you might split that up and, do 2 sort of videos or 2 some things. And it doesn't have to be a fancy animation. It can be you walking around your center and talking about, here's what we do. Here's what it's really like behind the scenes, because it's not just hanging out as much as we love to, and we do. You'll notice we didn't put that in, but we do have that downtime. That's something that if somebody is okay with this hard work, then we have the conversation during the interview of saying, hey, by the way, there are times throughout the day that you will have everything caught up. You get a rest, and we're going to pay you to sit and rest and just enjoy this space. And people are always elated, to hear that particular piece. So does anybody have anything that you put out there that's, again, you don't even have to think of the video for it, but something that you put out there that is not just a job description? Because the job description is crucial, absolutely crucial. But anything to show a day in the life. Is anybody doing something similar? Or have any ideas that sparked after seeing that?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Like the simplicity of that, I'm just like really had one of those like amazing aha moments, and at the same time being like, why didn't you think of that?
Right. Yeah.
But it's just one of those things that it is like, we do it so much
Mm-hmm.
that it's kind of like, okay, we're going to train this person,
Mm-hmm.
but you hit the nail on the head.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't know all of the responsibilities,
Yeah.
we all get all of that, everybody, like, the amount of times I'm approached
Yeah.
to like, I can do a float center, I'm like, I will sell you mine. And then you'll get back to me in like 3 months.
Yes.
Because and I know that we're doing our job
Right.
when people come in thinking that. So that when someone comes in with that poor impression of how easy it is, I look at my employees because they already know the inside joke, and I'm like, good job.
Yes. Yes.
So
Exactly.
I do give them that, but I haven't gotten that far.
Yeah, you want people to think it's an easy job if they're your guest, but if they're working for you, they have to really understand it, and just setting those super, super clear expectations. That video had things that are in the job description, how much, you have to be able to carry, the expectation that like details are so crucial, because if you flood my place, I'm going to be a little upset. We've done it before a few times, but just that knowing that you've got to go back and check and double check. And if you hate cleaning, you're out. If you don't like talking to people, you're out. And that we sincerely care. We have our Sukino babies. We have a lot of women who will come and float with us during their entire pregnancies. And then they come back and use our salt cave. They bring the whole family and the babies and, have a nice little family bonding time in our salt cave. And we love that. Like, that's one of our favorite things. And just showing people this is really important to us, to take care of our customers. That these are our guests, these are our friends, these are our salty family. Go ahead.
I have a question about your interview process.
Mhm.
Either I can do it now or if there's a better time.
Yeah,
in your
now's
presentation.
fine. Yeah.
How set expectations,
Mhm.
right? This is what we do.
Yeah.
How much of your time spent with that person is showing expectations, staying alive, as well as
Mhm.
like seeing if they want the job, and also gauging them to see if they're even
Mhm.
worth it? Like, how do you personally, how do you handle that interaction? Does that make sense?
So-
Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. So the question is about how do you handle during the interview process, letting people, know what the day-to-day job is. I am a very, let's say, informal interviewer, and I go with my gut. I never have questions prepared. We just see where the conversation takes us, and that's for a couple of reasons. One, I want to see how that person can handle just having a conversation with someone, because that's something that's important for them to be able to do every single day. I don't want them to feel like they're being interrogated. It's just a conversation. And sometimes we don't even talk about all the details of the job. We may talk about like what we do in the community, or like what are they doing? What are their hobbies? Who are they? And then finding that balance though of, if it feels good in the beginning, then we may go do a tour and walk them around, show them some of the back of the house areas and talk about it. But that video encapsulates so much that if they've watched that, we don't have to do a ton. And during that interview process, there are the questions of, I may have a couple of questions of like, how would you handle this? And it's things like, we're in a really old giant building, and we put every possible soundproofing imaginable, and there's no sound that comes down, but you hear vibrational noise from the yoga studio that's above us. And so sometimes you can hear that. And so if we're sitting there in the interview process and we hear boom, 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 we stop and we're like, so that's something that could come up, and we want to let you know that we have an issue with vibration in our center. Sometimes you might get a guest complaint. What would you do about that? And we really just kind of flow with that conversation, and just see. I don't think that's necessarily the approach for everybody, but we've been pretty fortunate where it's members, people we know. So we already kind of know them in some capacity. And then it really is just a matter of saying like, flip the switch. Okay, now behind the scenes, this is what it looks like. So yeah, go ahead.
Not to get your personal blood here, but Randall, what they want to know is, where are you getting your animation?
So Randall, I make these videos. They're super, super fun. I've been doing them. I did them back in the corporate world and did marketing and training videos. And so I make those. So you can go to mindful.solutions for that. Go ahead, Jane.
Recommend him for a trial period, like you decided on somebody. I had a member that I hired, and she turned out to be a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde personality.
Yeah.
I let her go very quickly.
Yeah.
But how long do you give for people as trial?
I think that's really going to be up to you. How long is your training program? How long do you feel it takes for somebody to be capable of running the center, your way and knowing what their responsibilities are? Because that could be, if it takes a month to get them through training, is that your trial period? Do you want to see them on their own after that? Is it a week? Is it a couple of days? And that answer is different for everybody. I don't like putting somebody in on their own for a while. Yeah.
We have a written in our agreement, like our employment agreement, that there's a 90-day probationary period. So at any time. I'm also in an Apple state, which is really convenient. But it's there, and they're required to initial and date every page on that, on the onboarding packet. So at some point they have read in 90 days. And side note, every once in a while I have an employee that will come to me in 90 days. My 90 days is almost up. Can we have a conversation? And then that's when I know, like, I'm honing on and more investing.
We do like a more or less a working interview. The thing, we do a couple interviews before this, but one thing I've done is remove myself from the first interview because I tend to like everybody. It's much better at being like, not like real quick, yay or nay, and then usually one of my employees first and then me.
Yeah.
And if they come to me, then I'm starting to tell them why we do what we do and like really see the passion and come in.
Yes.
And we generally do like a working interview, and I have them do like an opening, a closing, and a deep clean, just so they can see it, they shadow it, and if they're starting to get their hands dirty and like taking to it, then great. And it's just, we just agree that, if you decide at any point, we've had people be like, this is more than I thought, I'm done.
Yes.
Thanks, and at any point, you just want to walk out, no hard feelings, and same for us, like if it's not a good cultural fit, or, and that's.
Yeah. And setting those
Show
clear
them,
expectations. The hard part, I would say, with a 90-day probationary time is think about how much time and money you've invested in 3 months in that person, and so if at that point you decide it's not working, you're starting back again. So 90 days for me does feel a little bit long, but I would probably shoot in that like 30 to 60 because at that point you're starting to get a good vibe. Jeannie, I'm curious, so for your Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, how long did it take before you saw that switch?
Let's see, she started early September last year, and I let her go right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she started as a contractor, 'cause she was collecting unemployment,
Mm-hmm.
and she started just kind of as a 1099.
Yeah.
Then she wanted to be an employee, and then she wanted to have a manager's position. She had a lot of expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the nail in her coffin was she told me that she injured herself at home,
Mm-hmm.
and she had to wear a boot, and I said, no,
Mm-hmm.
can't, and I need a doctor's note for you to go back to work.
Mm-hmm.
So she kind of blew up after that. It's like, I've got 10 years of workers' comp experience as a nurse, so I was like, I wasn't buying that
Right.
story.
Yes. Yes. So, that 45 to 60 day window is probably a little bit more reasonable to really know. And I tend to kind of go the same way. I typically give people the benefit of the doubt, and I really like a lot of people. And I will, because we set clear expectations, I feel like we kind of just know a little bit more about them coming in. They know what to expect from us. But that's not always the case. So anybody else have any kind of probationary period? Anybody online? Any comments about that?
No, no
Yeah,
comments.
like, I expect to be floating, so like to start at like a a
Yes.
bottom rate of pay. and
Yes.
I tie raises to three things: to have studies build up of
Mhm.
like articles and videos, lots of for conference content.
Yeah.
Our books about floating, just because this is what our customers are reading and speaking and seeing online, and you need to be able to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I give $1 raise when they complete their studies.
You got
I
it.
give $1 raise when they hit 20 floats, like encourage them to float more.
Mm-hmm.
And then another $1 for the skills checklist and being
Yeah.
able to do our basic foundational opening, closing operation.
I love that. Being able to tie that progress and the pay.
And if they're not working it through it, it's like you're not advancing. It's like a quick also indicator.
You got
of
it.
Yeah,
how
absolutely.
they are.
Yes,
If they're motivated to make that money and be more valuable, then that's like, all right, let's push that. And
absolutely.
if they're
And
not, then it's good.
yeah, tying the incentive to the job set. And that's something that we do as well, where as you complete different skills and become kind of certified in that area, your pay will increase along with that. And that is also a nice way, it's kind of its own trial too, to see what people are capable of. How long does it take them to learn new things? Are they done with each, segment, like each segment in a week or a month? Does it take them forever to feel comfortable? We had one employee who, amazing back of the house, and he was terrified of guests. He was a young kid. He came to us through an internship program, but he did a really great job. We ended up hiring him. But then it got to the point where he literally, if he saw a guest, would turn and run to the back. And we're like, okay. And that's someone that we saw then he has no interest in interacting with our guests at all. And so we knew that was going to be, okay, we're done. We could only use him for back of house stuff. And he did great. And then he started getting a little bit, he used to like stack every towel perfectly and like took so much pride and really the details of stuff that he would do, loved. But then, and he stayed a year and a half, 2 years. And then he reached that point where he was very disengaged, and so he left. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing in that is that you made room for him
Mm-hmm.
because he became a specialist.
Right.
And then when he lost his skill set as a specialist, then he lost his position because he no longer had the variability. It's like,
Right.
You're good at only this one thing. And
Yes.
now you're no longer good at it.
Yeah. And our needs also changed during that time too, because he came at an early point. We didn't have additional staff. He was our only employee at that time. And we were still there and wanted to be there. And so we were handling front of house everything. And that was perfect. But then as things started to change and we were, having conversations with him about let's teach you how to do this. He had him answer the phone one day. And when he answered the phone, he literally froze, could not answer a question. And okay, I think we're done there. So yeah. Do you have something to say there?
No, I was,
Okay.
it's nothing.
So in 2019, I think it was, I presented mindful employee onboarding at FloatCon. So the video is out there on YouTube, but I want to revisit some of that so that we can have some discussion around that. We talked a little bit about having a plan, and that's just such a key piece, rather than just walking in every day and being like, all right, I'm going to show you how things work. have a plan of what you're actually showing them. It's some kind of an onboarding checklist at the very least. And that way you know what you're focusing on each day. If you can, share that with your new employee ahead of time so that they know what to expect. Setting those really clear expectations. We already told our new employee exactly what we're going to be focusing on the first day. When she comes in, we're really going to be just talking about getting to the services, benefits. I'm not going to be like scrubbing tanks and everything with her right off the bat. We're not talking about maintenance, any of that. We're really just going to be talking about like what it is that we do, really big picture stuff, getting to know, where we store things, finding her way around the center. And that's going to be, the biggest piece there. So having that plan. The warm welcome is a big piece. So I would be curious, for those who have recently hired someone, what is your first day like? What do you do on the first day? Go ahead, Jeannie. Shadow them, or they shadow you?
They shadow me.
Okay. Yeah.
And I've got a written checklist of everything, that's part of their training package.
Mm-hmm.
They shadow me on everything that's on the list. And the next step is they do it and I watch them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just continue to watch them until they feel comfortable and they feel they're competent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, first day is always just walking my footsteps.
First day of shadowing. Anybody else take a different approach?
Same, but they read.
Mm-hmm.
First day is reading.
Mm-hmm. First day is reading.
Yeah.
A lot of jobs, it's paperwork, you're getting all that stuff out of the way. And some of it, like you have to, but you could also maybe send it ahead of time and get that up there. That way, the first day is a little more meaningful. Anybody take your people out to have a drink, have a cup of coffee, lunch? Yeah, go ahead, Eric.
We always go for a walk around the
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's like part of the interview process and also day one.
You got it. And that's a great approach. Eric said that he takes them for a walk around the neighborhood. You're putting them in a neutral zone. Okay. When you're at the center, you're the boss. There's a position of authority there. And if you really want to try to get to know somebody and you want to make them feel warm and welcome, having a neutral place to do that. Go sit and have coffee. That's also another way that you can kind of see how they interact with other people. How are they treating their service providers when they go somewhere? What questions do they have? How do they communicate with other people? You can really get to see them in a different way. And it's in a place where you are not in a position of authority. So it's really nice if you can, of course, introduce the whole team, but try to make that a day about getting to know each other. Okay? Like, who are you? How long is it going to take until I know that you're not the right fit? And you can start to see that a little bit more if that first day is centered around the human side of things more than just the business side. And that's really hard to do because, like I said earlier, you're short-staffed. You're tired. You want to get somebody up and running as fast as possible. We wanted to get somebody up and running so that we didn't have to close our center, but we didn't have the right person come along. So we're totally fine just waiting a little bit longer, and then we're going to do it right as they, start to join us next week. Okay. Then get into the what is floating. Okay. And that's a great place, going back to some of those FloatCon videos, letting people really learn about it. That's also something that they could do, a little bit later in their onboarding process. Hopefully, if they're already members, they know a lot of that sort of stuff, but you can start to provide those research studies, let them look through the, like if you have a guest book, a journal, some kind of a reflection journal, give them time to read through that. That is going to be inspiring, and really getting to know that float side. Anybody have mission, vision, and values written up for your center? Do you know what your mission, vision, and values are? Can you spit them out? Yeah. Anybody? Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I own a different type of business at this moment. But
Yeah.
I do have that for that business,
Yeah.
not for a float center yet.
And those, again, are things that if it's just words on a paper, doesn't mean anything. Okay. But having your mission, vision, and values in a conversation with them and letting them know, like, this is why we do this. This is so much more than just a business where we put people in salt water. Such a bigger thing. Go ahead.
In addition to why the floating, why the mission and vision of our
Mhm.
floating business, I tend to go on a bit of a spiel as how important the culture of the family that we're
Yes.
creating here. And I get really specific, and I'll ask people, I honestly, I've never known how appropriate it is, but I ask people their comfort level with diversity, especially because for whatever reason, my establishment, we attract LGBTQ plus more than anybody,
Awesome.
more than anybody. It's awesome. And so I'll literally in the interview, I'll ask, like, is this kind of a culture that you're comfortable with? Because this is my family and this is a safe space. And I've had some people crying there who's like, I've been wanting a fucking safe space for years. Well, then fucking welcome home. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, letting people know who your customers and who your clients and who your members are, you know, it's very personal, and letting people know that that's very important to you. This is who the clientele we typically serve. You know, some people don't like working with elderly clients. And if they're uncomfortable, I think that's a great idea to set that expectation to say, you know, the majority of our clients are this. You know, if you're in the marketing workshop the other day, we were talking about the ideal, your client avatar. And if you know who your demographic really is, the majority of those people, you know, they want to know that. They may already know it. They may already be that, you know, demographic, but giving them, you know, permission to see people and also to opt out, because you don't want to hire that person who is uncomfortable around somebody else for whatever reason. That's not your fit, and get them out the door. So I really like that idea. Letting them know, number 5, how they fit into the organization. So obviously, like, org charts are a thing, but more than that, like, do they have the opportunity to be heard? How should they be heard? Are they just doing back of house cleaning and that's where they need to stay? Is that something that, sorry, I'm getting a little scratchy throat there. But how do they fit in as far as, like, how do they communicate with you as a leader? Who is their boss? And this is a really hard one whenever you have a business partner. Who is the leader? Who is the manager? Who did they go to for what? And you get really, really clear about, if you have payroll issues, go to this particular person. If they have ideas on how to improve a process, is that okay for them to do? Is that okay for them to share ideas with you? Thanks to everybody out there who joined.